Irish show. Sorry.
What is it?
All right, welcome to the show. It's Ringside Report. I'm Dave Simon. Fred Garcia's here. AJ DeLesio's here.
Howdy, boss.
Howdy, AJ. And we are here to talk about MMA. We're with you every Friday night on the radio on TSN 690. You can watch us on YouTube every Thursday night live at 8 p.m. And we are here to talk MMA with you. We got a lot to get to. Conor McGregor won his fight in 40 seconds this past Saturday night. Were you watching the fight? Were you watching the watch-along? I was here with my brother and with AJ, my brother from another mother and a different generation.
And he didn't fall asleep, which was great.
No, you stayed awake, AJ. My brother stayed awake. Everybody was wide awake. Electrifying UFC 246. You can check out the watch-along on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. If you're listening to this show on the radio, you can always go to our website, www.ringsidereport.net. ringsidereport.net, online home for everything that we do. We had a great time watching UFC 246 with you. Great time watching Conor McGregor knock out Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds. And it was a party. And we're going to have another party coming up this weekend for the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble watch-along coming up on Sunday. So be sure to check that out at ringsidereport.net and on the YouTube channel, as that'll be exclusive online content for you coming up Sunday during the Royal Rumble. Catch our live reactions, myself and Johnny North, watching the Rumble match, which is going to be some pretty exciting stuff on Sunday.
Big John.
I can't wait for the Rumble. I'm actually planning a raclette. I'm going to be like...
Again?
Oh,
Another
yeah.
raclette?
Well, a small one,
raclettes
just
you
for
have?
me and my girlfriend and the baby. And we're gonna I'm gonna eat some food while watching the Rumble. What better way to watch the Rumble than with some
It
food?
sounds very romantic, Fred. I'll tell you that much. Very romantic.
You need to try it.
A raclette for the Royal Rumble?
Fred is all about the raclette.
He loves his raclette.
Fred, once again, explain to us what a raclette is.
Well, you get like some steak and you get like some whatever meat you like. I love to have some shrimps, seafood, and you just cook it on the grill in front of everybody.
Oh, I thought it was like a fondue.
No. I don't do. Well, we do sometimes.
It's like a mini grill in a living room that you cook meat on and stuff,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
What?
And you do it in the living room, like on a couch.
Well, no, you do it in your dining room.
Oh,
a
dining room.
Yeah, you just put it on the middle of the table, and everybody's around it, and you talk.
Yeah.
Do you have wine and all this going on too?
If you want to have wine, you could have wine. You could also have a break to go outside to smoke a little something from the SQDC
Oh, my goodness.
or whatever. I'm just saying, there's a lot of things to enjoy during a raclette.
With a nice glass of proper 12, I imagine, as well.
Sure.
Do we have that in Quebec yet?
No, we still don't have the
What's
Conor
up with the
McGregor
SAQ?
whiskey here. So Freddie has another big raclette planned for the Royal Rumble.
A lot of food.
You were having a raclette for the Conor McGregor fight. It's just constant raclette in Fred's world. He's just like all about the raclette while we're doing YouTube watch-alongs.
With no food.
Fred, with no
What
you know
happened?
what we should do?
Well,
You know how we get Fred to do the YouTube watch-alongs with us, AJ? We get a raclette here for the studio.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, Fred. Should we do raclette in the studio?
live? That'd be awesome, man.
Live like raclette. We're eating, we're grilling meat, and you watch us eat and watch UFC. That's pretty good.
It's not like we haven't done it before. Remember Bistro Amerigo way back when they brought us all that food? It was like full of food. We were eating octopus. We were eating like pasta.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that day, Fred?
Oh, that octopus was good.
It was awesome.
Woo.
Bistro Amerigo.
All right. Well, Fred wasn't here watching
you
UFC
weren't
246. Fred picked Donald Cerrone. I'm going to let Fred give his thoughts on what
Let's go,
happened
Freddie.
on Saturday night here.
Hey,
Keep it short.
I
Under
picked
40.
Cerrone because I said, look, the odds are interesting. So, look, I'm $20 short. What do you want me to say?
What? That's
There's
all?
not
That was the
that
whole
much-
reason? That was it?
Well, yeah, he was paying like over 3 times. Like my $20 was giving me back, I think, 63 in profit. So
I'll-
it didn't give me 63 because I lost. I lost quickly. And
Yeah,
again, look, it's the type of fight with McGregor where you just got to applaud him because he did it. Look, he accomplished the goal in MMA is to finish your opponent. And if you have an opportunity, you do it. And McGregor, he jumps on those opportunity. As a fan, though, it just leaves us on the appetite a little bit. Like, oh, only 40 seconds?
What?
But hey.
Not at all.
Well, I mean, I would have liked to see a little longer of a fight, but if anything, props to McGregor. Like, you got to applaud him. There's nothing else.
I didn't mind the length of the fight. I thought it was totally cool. To me, it's not quantity, it's quality. And I want to see an exciting fight. And what Conor gave us, despite the fact that it was only 40 seconds, it was a very exciting main event. I didn't, I know people complain. They're like, man, we pay all this money, wait all this time, and it's over in under a minute. But it's like, look.
It happens in
MMA.
MMA.
Were you not entertained?
Well, once you have a chance to finish a fight, you got to jump on it. If you remember, like, the first Fox fight between Kane and JDS, it just lasted a couple of seconds also. But that's the sport. That's how it works.
But that's the thing with Conor. He brought out 40 seconds. I mean, myself and Dave, we called it. We called that it was going to be an early knockout. And the thing with Conor is you needed a quick win because it brought that mystique back to the top. I mean, if he would have went rounds and it went back and forth, it could have been very different. But Conor came out 40 seconds and he showcased why the King is back. There's no doubt that the King is back, and he did it in style. This is the only fight in Cowboy Cerrone's entire career, which was his 51st fight, that he never landed one shot. In 40 seconds, it was zero. Conor destroyed him, broke his nose. I'm not too sure if his orbital bone is broken. Regardless, Cowboy Cerrone looked mess. 40 seconds, and he admitted it himself. It was just unbelievable. He said it was an unbelievable fight because he went down so fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was overwhelmed. I'm sure he didn't believe how quickly he lost the fight, but we've seen this type of thing from Cowboy Cerrone in big fights. We talked about it a little bit after the fight when we were doing the watch along. Cerrone in big time fights tends to falter. He tends to fail, and it was a similar outing when he fought for the title against Rafael Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos finished him in 66 seconds. It's not like we haven't seen Cowboy finished quickly before.
And I'll say
Dos Anjos, it only took him 26 more seconds to do it when he beat Cowboy Cerrone. So, this is not unprecedented for Cowboy Cerrone, and it's not really a shocking finish.
You mentioned like him not showing up in big fights, and I completely agree. But I also mentioned the miles on the body. Like he's getting older. He's not able, I think, to take the punches like he used to and things like that. But I'm not taking nothing off Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor should be applauded for his performance, and I think the discussion is about what's next for Conor McGregor. That's the most interesting discussion, because the fight itself, it lasted 40 seconds, dominating performance, but there's no point. Like we can't break it down more than that. That's what happened.
Yeah, but
shoulder. It was a hip / kind of upper thigh, knee, shoulder, a couple punches, head kick, several more punches, and that was the fight. There's not much to break down. It really is all about what's next for Conor.
No, but
that's the story.
But what bothers me the most is that like some people that were watching this fight actually had the gallstones to say that Cowboy took a dive, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That it was fixed, that it was fake.
Fixed,
well, that's ridiculous.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. Here's a guy like Cowboy Cerrone. First of all, he's a cowboy, an American cowboy. He don't lie. The thing is that he didn't go down. Cowboy has so much integrity.
But AJ, it doesn't. You know what?
Face swell also
I don't even want to talk about. I don't even want to talk about the people that are going to go out there and say, "Oh, it was fake. It wasn't real. Cerrone took a dive."
But it's
those same people believe the Earth is flat. Those same people believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Those people, you can't argue with these people. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, actually, you're not supposed to believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean? Oh, he definitely didn't kill himself, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually those are the people that are the conspiracy.
Yeah, I know. I'm just lumping it in, Fred. I'm trying to confuse the issue, okay?
Edit that part, man.
I'm trying to confuse the issue, Fred. I knew exactly what I was doing. Don't worry about it, okay?
Epstein.
I'm throwing some conspiracies in with others. It's comedy, Fred, all right? Follow along. Keep up. Keep up with what we're doing
Epstein.
here. All right? So, Conor McGregor, what's next? That's the main story. That's what we need to talk about. Forget about Jeffrey Epstein. He obviously didn't kill himself. That's clear, okay? Conor McGregor, what happened there? What's next for Conor McGregor? Dana White, after the fight at the press conference, said he wants Conor to wait for the winner of Tony and Khabib if that fight does take place. That fight is scheduled to take place in April. Dana said that if Tony or Khabib were to fall out for some reason at any point between now and that fight, that Conor McGregor would step in and he'd fight for the title or an interim title. So, and follow here, AJ, because I know that you're going to get lost because you have your own facts and your own thoughts, right? I'm going to give you the facts. I'm laying this out for not only the Ringside Report universe, but also for AJ DeLessio, who doesn't always pay attention to facts. So the facts are that the president of the UFC, Dana White, said that he wants Conor McGregor to fight the winner of Khabib and Tony or take on Tony or Khabib if one of those guys falls out, right? So if Khabib gets injured, Conor would fight Tony in April, and it would be for an interim lightweight title. If Tony gets injured, well, perfect scenario for the UFC. They get what they want. They get Khabib and Conor the rematch for the UFC lightweight title. So that's
exactly what I said.
That's what the UFC is saying, right? Tony and Khabib are going to fight, and then if they don't fight, then Conor can step in. But if they do fight, as they are supposed to fight in April, it's a scheduled date, it's a signed contract, they should make that walk. If they fight, then according to the UFC, they want Conor to wait for the winner, which may not happen. You know, that fight may not happen till like November, December of this year, right? We could be waiting a long time. So Dana White does his press conference and says that. Conor McGregor comes out, does his press conference after the fight and says, forget that, I'm not waiting. If Tony or Khabib, they can't fight, yes, I'll step in. I'll fight Tony, I'll fight Khabib, whatever, I'm down for that. However, if they wind up fighting, I'm not waiting till November to fight again. Conor McGregor said he wanted to fight 3 times. Dana White said that he wanted to see Conor McGregor fight 3 times. And now there seems to be an impasse here between the UFC and Conor McGregor. So I don't think Conor fights the winner of Tony and Khabib in his next fight. I don't think Conor waits because AJ, I know, see, again, this is where the facts kind of confuse you, and I know facts and what people actually say and actually want confuse you.
Yeah, but Dana White said
Conor
the same thing.
McGregor said he is not willing to wait. So you have to give him a different fight.
Exactly.
A fight while waiting for a November date against Khabib or Tony Ferguson.
Exactly. And I've been saying that from the beginning, and Dana White has said it.
You've been saying you want to see Conor fight Floyd Mayweather since the beginning.
And that is exactly could be one of the 3 fights. It doesn't have to be MMA related. It could be outside of the sport of MMA. It could be boxing. And that's where I keep saying to you, that's going to happen in 2020. Dana White said it. Mayweather's been talking with Dana White. The Fertitta brothers are involved. The Conor Mayweather fight will happen again. And you can say all you want, but AJ was right.
So is
on
that
a few things.
So AJ, I'm gonna lay out some options for you, and you're gonna tell me what you think is the best option, and then Fred will give us his thoughts, and I'm sure Fred's thoughts will be far more rational. Okay?
What?
Well, you know. So Conor McGregor's options are the following: the BMF champion George Masvidal at 170 pounds.
He don't want none of that.
Who doesn't want none? George, Jorge Masvidal, or Conor?
Conor.
Okay.
Dana is right.
Conor McGregor said, let's go, Nathan. Let's go. The fight's always there. He called out Nate Diaz at his press conference, and he said, let's go, Nathan. So Nate Diaz fight is an option, okay? I'm throwing Masvidal, Nate Diaz up there. Justin Gaethje is a top contender at 155 pounds. He's been angling for a fight with McGregor. Justin Gaethje's an option. Am I missing some other? Okay.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather says he wants to box an MMA fighter. Conor wants to do the rematch. I'm going to say, okay, Floyd Mayweather is an option for a summer fight for Conor McGregor. So here are our options here, guys.
It's a big date.
Four options here. Floyd Mayweather, Justin Gaethje, Jorge Masvidal, or Nathan Diaz. Right? Are those our top options? Are there other options that I'm missing here?
No, those are the options. And
is Kamaru Usman a guy we want to... Let's put Usman in the conversation.
I doubt it.
People are asking me about Kamaru Usman. You know, I was on the Chris Nyland show a couple days ago. He asked me about Usman. Could Usman fight McGregor? You know, McGregor has been talking about fighting at welterweight. I mean, let's not forget, this fight was at 170 pounds, right? So Conor has been talking about Usman. Usman's Twitter account was supposedly hacked, and he had some very bad messages towards Conor and his family on that Twitter account, but apparently it wasn't Kamaru Usman. He was hacked, and then later on, his banking information was shown on his Twitter account, so it does seem like he was legitimately hacked, and it wasn't one of those instances where you say something crazy and people get on you, and then you say, "Oh, I was hacked." It's not like one of those.
But wasn't his manager in charge of those accounts, from what I heard?
Yeah,
who's
well,
his manager?
Ali Abdelaziz, who has a history with Conor McGregor, because Kamaru's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, has a lot of beef with Conor stemming from that Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, because he's also Khabib's manager. Where's Noah?
Conor might have a
Where is Noah?
I don't know, but what about the option?
I mean, not your Noah, the other Noah.
Noah's Ark?
You know what I'm talking about.
Let's just go
What's up,
over
Noah?
your options, okay? And you might not really like what I'm gonna say.
Uh-oh,
here,
this
friend.
I gotta hear.
Okay, because I'm gonna go with the order of.
Are you gonna say Floyd?
I'm gonna go by the order of probability. I think of what is gonna be Conor's next fight. By the way, the bookies have it as Jorge, the favorite to be the next fight, but it's not my choice. I think Conor's next fight will either be Nathan Diaz or, unfortunately, Floyd Mayweather.
Yes.
And let me
Finally,
just
Fred,
make
you see
the
the
case for the Floyd Mayweather one. It's a fight that Conor could take and not risk his fight against Khabib in November, where if he loses in boxing, let's say in May, boxing loves that Cinco de Mayo weekend, wherever that falls, but whatever. That could always be a possibility. Like boxing, it would be a lot of money boxing Floyd again. If they could make it happen for May, I could see it happen. I don't want it. I'm on
Why not?
Because I don't want to see Conor in a boxing fight.
But the
period.
rest of the world does, Freddie. We know that.
Yeah, I'm very selfish. Now,
I don't want to see it either, Fred.
let's go back to the other MMA options. I think Nate Diaz makes a lot of sense because Conor defeated him the last time. So Conor probably feels that, he could defeat him again.
Big money fight, too. He's a big name.
Yeah, exactly. But if you were
Let's not forget that Masvidal-Nate Diaz fight. That's a mega fight because Nate Diaz is in it. Nate Diaz is the A side of that thing. Masvidal came out the winner. Masvidal's a star, da-da-da. Sure, whatever. Nate Diaz was the A side of that equation. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, I can't argue with that for sure.
Come on, man. Nate's a bigger star than Masvidal.
Not really.
Masvidal right now has the
Nate's
mainstream
beat
media
Conor.
behind.
But Masvidal has beaten Nate, and Masvidal is
Stockton!
It-
He has
but-
mainstream media. Miami, man.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what?
Miami
Let's
Beach.
be honest. He's like the second most recognized MMA fighter out there after Conor. There's Masvidal, and that's the thing. If you're
See,
gonna
and I'm
say,
repping
like,
a T-shirt from Miami. Also.
I'm going to tell you why.
Miami.
I'm going to tell you why Jorge Masvidal would not be Conor McGregor's next opponent.
wait,
Because Dana White said so. Because Dana White said at the UFC 246 post-fight press conference, the fight to make is Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman for the UFC welterweight title. He said, everybody knows that's a fight to make. That's a fight I'm going to make. That's a fight we're going to do. Masvidal is fighting Usman. And Conor was not impressed with Masvidal. He's like, what is that guy doing? He was wearing a robe, like a Versace robe, cage side. He was doing the most to try to get that fight. Masvidal came off real corny this weekend. Masvidal came off like a desperate man trying to get the attention of Conor McGregor. He couldn't get the attention of McGregor, so now he's going to have to fight big bad Kamaru Usman, and Masvidal doesn't want any of that stuff. Masvidal doesn't want that.
First of all, the robe was Conor's idea. That was Conor's robe from way back in the Mayweather
he's right
fight.
on that one.
But Conor wore that robe to an open workout. It's like a workout boxing robe. Masvidal's wearing it out like he's at a club or something. He's at a UFC fight. He's not working out. It's not a robe to be.
You don't understand Miami.
He's
man.
walking around with that
You don't
robe.
understand
He's got no
Miami.
shirt on. Look, Conor was not impressed, and I'm not impressed either.
You gotta roll Miami style,
You don't
Dave.
understand Miami either.
For
What are
sure,
you talking
man.
about, Fred?
Freddie understands Miami. He had a raclette. How can you not understand Miami?
Fred,
Freddie
so
has
strange.
raclette. He's very trendy. Look at Fred's hairstyle.
Fred's got a
He's
whole-
got the Brad Pitt look going. Give Freddie a break. He
Okay.
actually said
All right,
AJ
man.
was right.
Okay, here.
But listen to me.
No, I'm not listening to you
Come on,
because
you
it's
didn't
going to
tell
be
me
nonsense.
what my pick would be.
I don't care what
You
your
gotta
pick
hear
is.
what my pick is gonna
What's
be.
your okay? My number one pick for Conor McGregor's next fight would have to be Nathan Diaz.
Another guy on
I
a
wanna
losing
see it.
streak?
Give me Nate because
No.
that's
Another guy off a loss?
or give me you know who else? Okay, how about this, guys? Somebody who's not on the list, and I'm looking at the betting odds.
me guess.
I'm looking at the betting odds right now. Okay, I'm looking at the betting odds. Masvidal as Conor's next opponent is listed at -200. Khabib +300. Justin Gaethje +600. Kamaru Usman +900. Nathan Diaz +1,000. Floyd Mayweather +1,200. And Tony Ferguson +1,400. I mean, you want to bet on Tony Ferguson, Khabib doesn't show up to the fight, you're making good money there. You put a couple bucks on Tony Ferguson. I mean, for Ferguson to be that out of the question, I mean, Khabib could not make weight, and then Conor's right there, you know?
Which is a possibility.
But here's a guy that's not on this list that I thought about that makes a lot of sense.
Let me guess. I'm going to guess Holloway on this list.
No.
Am I right?
No. Dustin Poirier.
Well, that's a good one, too.
They fought before.
Yeah.
Conor beat him. Poirier was on a good run. He's coming off that loss to Khabib. Conor's coming off a loss to Khabib. I think that's a good matchup. If
How
you
about
want
Justin Gaethje, a guy that's
Gaethje works
winning?
too.
Yeah, but there's not as much oomph in that fight. Let's be
Everybody's
honest.
saying Justin Gaethje, but you know what? Justin Gaethje is winning, but Justin Gaethje isn't fighting Khabib. And when Justin Gaethje fought Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje wasn't winning because he lost. And I think, didn't he get knocked out in that fight? Yeah, Poirier knocked him out in that fight. So Justin Gaethje lost to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. And now he's won 3 straight fights, Fred, and you seem to be impressed with wins over James Vick, Edson Barbosa, and Donald Cerrone. To me, those aren't the fights that you win to get a fight with Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, you know, you want to look at what he did leading into the fight with Khabib. He beat Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje. He beat Eddie Alvarez, which Gaethje couldn't do. He then beat Max Holloway before getting the fight with Khabib. So to me, Poirier's out there. He's looking for a fight. He's looking for some money. I think Poirier is a good style matchup for Conor. They've already fought. They have a history. Conor's already beat him. That seems like a good matchup.
I think that's a perfect warm-up fight to get either Ferguson or Khabib. And I agree with you on that. Poirier is the guy that's not being looked at, and he should be the guy for Conor next.
People are over-respecting Gaethje because they've seen him win recently, but you're forgetting about Dustin Poirier. Who's better? He's better than Justin Gaethje, and I know that because they fought and Poirier won.
Look, you might have a point, man, but I don't know. I'm not too hyped for Dustin Poirier.
What?
But you're more hyped for Gaethje? Like,
Yeah,
why?
Freddie.
Why?
I don't know. Right now, he's a hotter commodity. Like,
Not really.
What
I
have
think
you done
so.
for me recently?
You know who will agree with you, Freddie? Is Conor's coach. John Kavanaugh will agree with you. That's his choice for Conor's next fight.
I'll tell you
is
what,
to go
man.
against Gaethje.
The more I hear this, the more I'm going towards Nate, which
Listen.
wasn't my original choice.
That's right,
but-
Nate
Yeah, but
Diaz.
makes sense.
I'm telling you, because Dustin Poirier is not a sexy pick. Dustin Poirier is like
he's sexy
he's
pick.
a
Come
very
on, Dave.
good fighter. I'm saying he's a handsome man, but he's not like a name that's going to get you excited. Fred's not excited. Fred's not on board.
Yeah, but he beat Holloway.
Nate-
Fred, you should be excited.
He beat Holloway. He beat Justin Gaethje, who everybody's
Exactly.
all mad that he's not getting a title shot. And I'm mad that Dustin Poirier is being totally overlooked because he lost to Khabib. Everybody loses to Khabib. But when
Poirier would make sense.
But again, Poirier makes way more sense than
agree.
Justin Gaethje to me. But at the same time, Nate Diaz makes money. And we're not talking about making cents. We're talking about making dollars here. This is the UFC. This is the Money McGregor game. Nate Diaz is the fight. Because you could talk about Dustin Poirier's win over Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje's won 3 in a row, and Floyd Mayweather, and this and that. You know who Nate Diaz beat? Conor McGregor. And then they had a rematch, and Conor beat him in a decision. But Nate tapped him out when they fought the first time. I'd like to see the rubber match, and millions of people would like to see the rubber match, and that would sell over 1 million pay-per-views, maybe 2 million pay-per-views. Like, that thing would be massive. You want to talk about trash talk, you want to talk about a good fight, you want to talk about history, a trilogy fight. That trilogy fight needs to happen. And I feel like, why not let it happen right now? You know that fight is going to happen at some point, right? Like, do any of you believe that Conor and Nate will end their careers without fighting a third time?
Well, look, it's like me saying John Jones against Daniel Cormier. I want to see that fight before seeing Nate and Conor. So I'll be honest, I don't really care about Diaz and Conor.
That's why your logic is the worst,
No,
AJ.
it's not. It's absolutely right.
Because you would rather see John Jones and Daniel Cormier fight a third time when John Jones has beat him twice.
Yeah.
Okay, no. He beat him twice, and the last time he did it, he knocked him out with a head kick, okay? And Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, they're 1-1, but you're not interested in it. You want to see the trilogy where one guy's just obviously better and it's 2-0.
Yeah, but
over the trilogy where it's kind of even and they're 1-1, and let's see a rubber match. You rather see just poor Daniel Cormier get beat up by John Jones again, rather than seeing
a clean John Jones.
Who is the real number one between Nate and Conor? Like, do you see the logic here,
Listen,
Fred?
man, I want to see a clean John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, and then we'll talk. I'm telling you.
Who's the champ right now at heavyweight?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The thing
it
is
does
that
kinda
I know
matter.
John Jones wants to go into heavyweight.
See, again, you would probably rather see Daniel Cormier fight John Jones a third time for some unknown reason than Daniel Cormier fight Stipe Miocic.
Or John Jones versus Stipe.
No, but Stipe and DC are 1-1 in their trilogy. Like, that trilogy fight needs to happen. They have to fight again because DC knocked him out the second time. Stipe beat him DC knocked him out the first time, rather. Stipe knocked him out the second time. We need to see it happen again.
So
but AJ's logic, he would rather see John Jones beat up DC again because
as a heavyweight.
What?
Let's see them fight as a heavyweight. Their third fight at
So
heavyweight.
you'd rather see that than DC fight Stipe?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you bananas?
Why? I'm sure. I can assure you one thing.
Are you crazy?
A lot of our listeners are listening, and I bet you'll agree with me. They rather see that third fight. I want to see that third fight.
All right,
I want to see a clean John Jones, and then let's talk smack. Because Daniel Cormier is clean can get, and you know what? It's not fair to him and his fighting history when you're fighting against a guy that has picograms from here to like Kingdom Come.
Look, hey. When Daniel Cormier DC was the champion, I was with you. But if John Jones is going to go to heavyweight, I want him to fight the champion.
No, he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to. Why should he go into heavyweight and fight the champ right away when there's a lot of other guys? And
he's the greatest.
Honestly, he's the greatest picogram. I agree with you. But the thing is this. Listen,
the greatest living fighter.
No, the greatest living fighter right now is probably Khabib with a 0 loss record. I'll give it that. And then you got
John Jones also has a 0 loss record.
Yeah, well, you know what?
And he's beating better guys. And he's doing it more consistently for a longer period of time.
Look, I say this.
Right? Like, look, John Jones is the number one fighter in the world.
Disagree.
You can.
To some extent. He's one of the greatest fighters of our time. There's no doubt about it. But yet again, there's a lot of question marks on his fighting and certain substances in his body.
You bring up these question marks always. You're the one.
I'm not the only guy, man. There's a lot of other people. There's a lot of AJ followers that say the same thing.
AJ followers.
But look, John Jones is in a couple of weeks. You know, right now we're talking about Conor McGregor and what's next for Conor McGregor.
Don't we have a dozen bagels on that fight, AJ?
Yeah, we do. We actually
I've got John Jones. He's got Dominic Reyes.
Remember that name, guys.
It's a bad choice.
Let's stick to Conor, Fred. You're right.
Conor. Probably going to be Nate. That would be my choice. But I will put a little stock into the Floyd Mayweather because Floyd is the one also that tweeted it out on the night of the fight.
It's money, too.
And one thing.
How about Manny Pacquiao? You think that could happen instead?
Let me just say one thing on the Floyd thing. The first Floyd-Conor fight, I don't know how the money got split, but I would think that Floyd probably got a bigger share.
Well, he got huge because he's the promoter, right?
He did.
But if they fight again, I'm starting to think Conor might be the biggest draw of the two right now. Like, Conor is huge right now. If they were to fight again, Conor's in a position right now with Floyd, who's semi-retired. Like, Floyd cannot be fighting Canelo or somebody like that. Floyd has to fight a guy like McGregor.
If Floyd comes back, he's coming back for Conor, right?
Yeah, and
that's what he's coming back for.
Conor has the bargaining power right now, so Conor would be making even more money in that rematch.
Look, Conor said this, by the time he hits 35, he's going to be a billionaire. And look at that. Look at where Conor was 10 years ago when he was probably fighting for like $5,000, if he was lucky, $5,000 a fight. And here he is at 35, when he hits 35, but we're in 2020, he's close to $1 billion than $1 million. So it's unbelievable what Conor has done, for sports. His fan base, coming in for Ireland wasn't as big.
We've just entered the AJ hype zone.
No.
That's what we're doing.
Here we're going.
Connor, what a star, what a guy. We love him.
Let's be honest. And look at the record that was broken at the gates this week. You can say all you want, Dave, but the truth is, Dana White said it. If Khabib fights Conor again, they're going to hit over 3 million pay-per-views. And I said it, and I believe that. That's the fact, man. You can say all you want, but look at the Conor trade.
Conor did what he needed to do, which was win. Because my point last week was you cannot be losing and expect your popularity to keep growing. If you're not winning, at some point people are gonna get mad.
But you got to win good, right, Fred? And that's the thing.
Exactly.
And if you lose, you got to lose good. And there's always that.
He looked fantastic. He couldn't have done any better than he did. He came out of the fight completely unscathed. I don't think Cerrone landed a single shot.
Zero.
Conor looked like he didn't break a sweat in that fight. He made it look totally easy, and now he's ready to fight again as soon as possible. Hopefully we can get Conor back in there real quick. The only thing, with Conor, we talk about Nate, we talk about Floyd. That may take a little while. That may not be ready till we're in the end of January here. You got to get some negotiations going. Like, it's not easy to negotiate and set up and promote a Floyd Mayweather fight or a Nate Diaz fight for different reasons, right? So if Conor wants to fight before May, or by May, he might have to take like a Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier type fight just to get one in quick, because Nate Diaz, Floyd Mayweather, you may have to wait a little bit. You think Floyd would be ready for like a Cinco de Mayo type thing with Conor, like
in May,
5th of May?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Floyd is.
You need about 8 weeks in boxing. You're good.
Last time Floyd spent a week before the fight at the strip club, okay, and he schooled McGregor after that.
Yeah.
Even though Anthony doesn't want to admit it. So
listen,
Conor, come on, let's be honest.
Listen,
he could spend like February, March, April in camp.
Like he has no weight to cut. He's the smaller guy of the two. Whatever weight class that happens, Floyd is the guy that's going to be closer to making weight.
Yeah, it could happen. Floyd in May could actually happen.
And you know what?
My
it would be
goodness.
perfect. It would be like Fred said earlier. It won't affect Conor's
I hate when
MMA
you get what
career.
you want, AJ. I don't want you to get what you want.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, I say it, Dana White spews it out, and then you guys like chew me out and everything. But then it happens. And
Are you and Dana on the same stuff? What
we've
are you
got
guys?
the same head, man. But I'll
You
tell you
do.
something. We have the same head.
It's expanding
Actually,
over
if I
the
take off my
years
glasses,
too.
But he goes red. Dana goes red. But the thing is this, Dave. Who doesn't want to see that fight? Everybody around the world wants to see that fight.
Me and Fred don't want to see it.
The beautiful thing about this is
We've
you
seen
might
it
not want to
before.
see it, but you're going to be there, front and center watching that fight like everyone else. And you know what? It's a money
I didn't want to see Holly Holm and Raquel Pennington, but I
Well,
watched that. That's not fair, AJ. There's a lot of fights that I watch that I don't really want to see.
Yeah,
but
but-
I have to, so they're there.
But
What are
I'm
you gonna
sure,
do?
like, look, that fight. Are we jumping into that fight?
No,
now?
we're not jumping. I don't even want to talk about that fight at all. That fight sucked. It was super boring. We talked about it that night while we were watching it. There's nothing more to say about the Holly Holm Raquel Pennington fight other than Holly Holm won, and now she's kind of stuck in this spot where it's like no one wants to see her fight for a title right now because she's still lost like 5 of her last 8. Just so happens that those are two, Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes and Cyborg, We'll talk about Cyborg because Cyborg's fighting this weekend. Yeah, Cyborg's fighting on Saturday for the Bellator Women's Featherweight Championship. Also, we're going to talk about Junior Dos Santos fighting Curtis Blaydes. I want to talk a little bit more about Conor McGregor. I've got some cool betting odds that I want to throw your way, guys. Some more betting odds about Conor McGregor and what he will do this year. We'll also talk about Dana White and what he said about George St-Pierre.
Ooh.
Bad news.
Bad news.
Bad news, guys. We got some bad news about
That's
Dana
not
White
cool.
and GSP. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Yeah, it's bad. It's not good, guys. When we come back, it is Ringside Report. Stay with us.
Ching.
We're still here, though, because it's a commercial break time. Commercial break. Glenn McKenzie, our boy Glenn from the Glenn WO, or as AJ calls it, Glenn Woo.
Glenn Woo is right here.
Because AJ doesn't know what the NWO is.
You figured that out last week, right?
Yeah, he was like, "What is a Glenn Woo?"
NWO.
I was wearing an NWO Wolfpack shirt, and it's like Glenn Woo your shirt, and I'm like, no. The Glenn Woo is Glenn WO.
No.
And that's from the NWO.
Let me tell you, they probably stole it from Glenn.
No, they didn't.
They stole it from Glenn.
Yeah. See, AJ thinks that the NWO is a ripoff of the Glenn WO, which is ridiculous. And AJ also thinks that Conor McGregor invented that walk when obviously it was Vince McMahon who invented that walk. My brother and I both had to explain it to you on the watch along. Fred, tell him that Vince invented that walk.
Let me, Fred. Did you want to
Did
hear
Conor
what I
invent
said?
that walk, or did Vince?
Nah, come on, guys.
Vince.
I'm going to tell you why it's not the same walk. Because Vince, when he comes out, he has like hard elbows. That's how he walks, with his hard elbows. Conor walks with like swagger, man, and that's the difference. Conor perfected
Glenn
the
wants
walk.
to know why he says, why is the Goomba dressed like my drunk uncle? And he also says that shirt's getting tight.
Glenn, you're absolutely
AJ.
right, man. You're absolutely right.
When's the last time you were at jiu-jitsu,
Glenn
man?
knows why, man. It's a bad scene. I'm gonna have to start training with Glenn. He's gonna have to start training me again.
Yeah, why
Glenn,
haven't you why haven't you been at the gyms for so long?
Glenn knows.
What's new in your life?
Yeah, what's happening?
There's a lot of
Tell
things.
us. Come on, man. This is commercial break time. Nobody's watching
Like
or
you haven't
listening. Go
trained
on.
much since what, November? what happened on November?
A lot of things, my friend. A lot of things.
Like what?
The question should be what happened 9 months earlier. But that's a different story. I can't reveal that. But I do have a video. So listen, I'm going to tell Glenn something.
Do you?
Listen.
Do you though? Does you think he does?
Come on, guy. I know Glenn does. I know Glenn. Glenn, I know you're listening.
AJ, do you make
know-
sex tapes?
Listen, man.
Do you?
What do you think my name
Because
is? Epstein?
What's your porn name?
You're terrible with like technology, so those things would get out.
Back in the days,
You know what I mean? He'd send it to you accidentally, you know? AJ,
Tweet it out.
don't make sex tapes because you'll tweet it out at Danny Bruck.
It could happen.
Yeah, it would happen.
It could happen.
Because you're
So,
terrible
Well,
at
let me get
stuff.
back to why Glenn is saying I'm dressed this way. Because this is tribute to my buddy Conor. Below the neck is Conor. And above, Cowboy Cerrone. Come on, guys. You didn't figure that one out?
No.
Come on. Glenn, you didn't figure that out?
I thought
Seriously.
that Corona hat was because you're a big fan of the coronavirus.
I thought it looked Australian. Like it looks more like a, I don't know.
It was my Australian hat. I wore it for the Australian
Yeah,
games.
that's your
Remember
Crocodile
that?
Dundee hat.
Yeah, but I can't find the kerchief. And Glenn, by the way, give me another Glenn Woo shirt or one of the other
Glenn
shirts.
Woo.
Get me another one. I need it. It's actually nice material, I must admit. Glenn
Glenn Woo.
Woo. Is he on still, Glenn?
Oh, yeah.
Good jersey. Hey, listen, congratulations, Glenn. He's
What are you congratulating him
because
for?
Glenn, I'm gonna give him some credit here. Glenn has been like rocking the BJJ scene. The last year, he's been competing like a beast. He's been the last couple of years, but he's been doing very well. So I got to give it to him. That's it.
Yeah, he's awesome. There's just candy in my mouth.
And plus, like we got Freddie. Are you gonna say anything about like our jiu-jitsu community and our buddy that passed away? And
Well, we were keeping that for.
We'll do that
for the
later.
end?
For yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll do it later. That's why there's the belt there. Or I thought you were gonna say something about Johnny Walker, but that's a different story. Apparently, he's been seen in Montreal. He made a mistake. He took a left instead of a right.
Johnny
Instead of going
Walker.
to New York, he came to Montreal.
Johnny Walker's training in Montreal now.
I heard somewhere like Burger
What's your
King.
opinion of that?
Oh, take it easy, bro.
You
My
think
opinion, I think Johnny
like
Walker.
you used to think he was the future? Is it still like a bright future for Johnny Walker, according to AJ? I think so, but
This is a tough one, man. I'll tell you something. There's always surprises. Just when you think you can't get surprised in life, bam, you get surprised. Like 9 months later, you get surprised. But other than
Okay.
let's get to the commercial.
So, our friends over at
Where?
Stitcher.
Stitcher.
At the Ringside Report Network, we've been making podcasts for you for a long time, almost 15 years now. And many of you have been using Stitcher to stream or download our shows, Wrestling Uncensored, MMA, Ringside Report MMA. I think the show's now called Ringside Report MMA. I think we've changed the name, guys.
What? I thought it was Network.
No, this show is Ringside Report MMA.
I didn't get that memo.
It's a part of the Ringside Report Network. Officially, this show is called Ringside Report MMA.
Who came up with that genius name? Wait, all my jujus, man.
Fred.
Wasn't me.
So Stitcher now offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. So besides all of our podcasts, you can be listening to over 100,000 podcasts on your iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo, or in your car. You shoot me, and I will kick your ass.
Where is your guns, by the way? Go ahead, Dave.
Trying to read an ad here.
Sorry, it sounds good.
So many podcasts available on demand, ad-free with Stitcher Premium. They've got Joe Rogan, they've got Mark Maron, they've got MMA Fighting, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, Grilling JR. So many great shows, Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. It's $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year. What you got to do is go to Stitcher.com/premium to sign up today. Use the promo code RINGSIDE for a free month of Stitcher Premium. So you go to Stitcher.com/premium. You sign up using the promo code RINGSIDE for a free month of Stitcher.
Very good. I love it.
You gotta love it.
Stitcher all the time.
You gotta love it, brother. Okay.
Glenn, get Stitcher.
Glenn, go to Stitcher Premium, everybody. Stitcher.com.
Because Glenn has the money. I know that.
Stitcher.com/premium. Promo code RINGSIDE. Glenn's got the money?
Glenn's got money for sure.
Big money Glenn?
Have you ever seen Glenn? Whoa, let go. Have you ever seen Glenn like on a trip? He's always eating like the finest foods and drinking like the finest drinks. The man has money.
Okay, let's go to
joke
our
on that.
friends over at IPVanish. When you are on the internet, you need to be secure. You need to be safe. If you are using your device on a public Wi-Fi hotspot, you need IPVanish. You need to protect yourself on the internet. You need to protect your devices, your cell phone, your laptop, whatever you are using, you need IPVanish there. And now, right now, any new user visiting IPVanish until January 31st can get the perfect privacy pair for even less. You can protect everything from your internet connection to your files with IPVanish and SugarSync bundle. Now, you can save up to 66% on the IPVanish VPN with this limited time discount. What you got to do is you go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. You go to vpn.ringsidereport.net right now. You can get 2 years of VPN and secure storage for as low as $4.12 a month. That is nothing, and you need this on all your devices. I've got it. I stay safe on the internet. Offer ends January 31st. Once again, you go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. Stay safe on the internet. Keep yourself secure. Use the internet as if you're using it from your server's location with IPVanish. vpn.ringsidereport.net.
Good job.
It was awesome, dude.
Thanks, guys.
VPN, man.
Play
safe.
You guys boost my confidence.
You know, it's actually very good.
You
If
know-
anybody's going to say a commercial like you, man,
You know what's never going to sponsor us?
Who? Burger King.
A company to put down the sound on our phones, because that's something that you should know by yourself. You know, AJ?
We're on a break here. Remember that?
Yeah, well, you should put down your sound. But it happened to me like a week
Yeah,
or
how
so
come you
ago.
did that? AJ, your
didn't do it
phone
on
just
purpose.
made noise.
It happens a lot to you, though.
At least you're not on the chat.
I want to go on the chat.
Don't go on the chat.
Deep down inside, I really want to go on that chat.
I know, but you've been barred from the chat. When you're on the show, you're not allowed to be
There's
on the
only
chat.
two guys barred here.
When you're watching Dave and Johnny live, you could be on the chat. That's okay.
I like being on that chat. It's very informative.
Dave and Johnny live will be on tomorrow at 12:30. Johnny and I have a lot to get to. I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about. Oh, no, I do know exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to preview NXT Worlds Collide. Boom. I just did that. Oh,
thought it
I'm
was the Royal
so
Rumble
good.
you're gonna talk
My
about.
God, I'm good. No, we're going to preview NXT Worlds Collide.
Because some guy came up to me
No,
today.
because on Wrestling Uncensored, we're going to preview the Royal Rumble. But on Dave and Johnny Live, we're previewing NXT Worlds Collide. Oh, man. I booked that show like just now.
So hear me out on
I'm
this.
good, guys. All right, I'm good.
So what? Tomorrow there's a next NXT card.
No,
also?
NXT Worlds Collide
Saturday.
is Saturday in Houston.
Good.
So you can get the preview for that Friday, and then Saturday is the event, and then Royal Rumble is Sunday, and our preview for that will be out on Saturday. So we have the preview out a day before of these big wrestling shows from WWE this weekend. Boom! That's how we do it.
That's a great weekend for me. Tomorrow I'm going to ski in Bromont,
What?
and then Saturday and Sunday
Living the big
watch.
vida loca.
I mean, that's the
Hey.
life, man.
Did
like
you
the
win La
Brad
Belle
Pitt.
Vie?
Maybe you did.
I work hard
That's a good point.
or
Cha-ching.
work smart.
Ooh, another one. Good one.
Fred's living that life, you know? You got to
Why
love
is the
it.
studio so hot, man? Like Dave, have you ever been to David Letterman Studios?
No.
It's cold, man. Have you ever been to Saturday Night Live Studios?
What are you flexing back there?
It's cold.
Because he says it's hot, so I
Freaking
just
hot,
started
man.
flexing.
Freddie is hot. What are you doing, Dave?
It's reflecting.
No, show the back picture of that. Glenn will like it.
No.
Come on, Dave. We're not
Very-
on radio at this point. Let me think. I was going to say something. So some guy comes up to
Johnny
me today.
North is asking, there's no watch along for Worlds Collide. No watch along for Worlds Collide. Unless you want to do one by yourself, John, on your phone or something.
Johnny
John's
in the
always
dark.
trying to do... John, like, he wouldn't be here for the watch along for Worlds Collide. He just wants me to do more work.
Why
Like,
won't you
John's
be
always
here?
trying to get me to do more work just to mess with me. He knows... he's laughing right now. Laughing at... he likes to frustrate me, Johnny North. Have you not heard the show? That's kind of half of his gimmick. It's just... He says things just to piss me off.
What was it that he said
He does
last
it on
week?
purpose.
He said something last week. I forgot.
He always says things to
no,
piss
but
me
you
off.
got on his case because he said some word or there was something that he said and you got upset that he didn't know it.
Isn't he wrestling this weekend?
Yeah, Sunday. Johnny's
Yeah, he's
wrestling
wrestling
for the number
Sunday
one
afternoon.
contender.
Like, I
I'm
think
going
it
to
might be time for you to turn on him.
Why?
Oh, heel turn?
Don't do that.
Yeah, man.
Don't
You know
be-
Johnny
that's
has
not
a
cool.
manager now, and it's not me.
What?
He has a wrestling manager
Well,
for
what
his
about
match
us?
for his match on Sunday. It's that lady there that was with the. You remember we were at that show?
Yeah.
The like Viking guy there, Bjork,
Oh, well, he's
the
gonna-
lady with the like leather dress
I can
there.
understand why Johnny went with her. Don't worry,
She's
Johnny. I
she's
understand.
Johnny's manager now. Johnny is like a lady manager.
I wonder why, Johnny. And then he's talking about us in the Anglican Church. Johnny. The whole thing on
Yeah.
what's up with that, John?
So
Listen,
John, you know, you guys were dissing my podcast, my Irreparable Damage podcast.
I wasn't dissing it.
That show is we got a brand new show that I recorded this morning. It's gonna be out later this evening, and I'm telling you guys, I think at the end of the show, my man Giuseppe responded to you guys and your criticism of the show because you guys
What is he
were
gonna do about it, Freddie?
you guys were very yeah.
Turn him into a pretzel.
Hey AJ, you know he's the only black belt.
No, but can I?
He's my only black belt co-host. He's a black belt.
In what? Taekwondo?
Yeah.
Figured. When? How did I know
How
that?
did you know?
I figured.
No,
They
but-
always say that. I'm a
okay.
black belt. You ever hear jiu-jitsu guys going around, I'm a black belt?
If you get a black belt when you're 14, is it really a black belt?
Yeah, it's a
Didn't
black
you say?
belt, all right.
Didn't you say that? Like you were the most lefty of the two on that
Between
show?
me and him, yeah.
Okay. And me and AJ basically said that we didn't like the lefty part of your show. So, you know, we got
That's me.
We
It's
got,
me,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. We got nothing against
No,
what's
it's
his name,
me.
Giuseppe.
Yeah, Joey.
Joey.
I like
I
Joey.
love Joey, man.
you guys
Yeah.
were talking
We like
trash
Joey.
last week.
No, we weren't.
Now you're cool. Now you're
No, because
good.
Joey hasn't done anything to us,
So it's just-
we can't get mad at him.
It's just me you're attacking.
So why was he getting mad at us then? You were saying like Joey.
Well, because you guys were like dissing the show.
No, we just said like
that's not
I
our
don't
kinda
know,
show,
man.
You never even
Listen,
listened to
you
the
don't
show.
like Hell
You
Yeah.
never
I
even-
expect a lot of hatred towards Trump, things like
Yeah,
that.
that
Like,
kind of stuff.
the
You're like, it's
typical
okay if you
stuff,
support
man.
Trudeau,
we don't talk
you know?
about those things.
I mean, like, okay, since we're going there, man, I'm gonna call you out a little bit. So, like, you know, Conor, he's involved in some investigations. You're silent. Says some bad things about whether it's Brazil, Nate, like racist stuff about Floyd. You're pretty much silent. He supports Trump.
Boom.
Oh my God.
That's it. It's done.
I'm not silent
Good point
on
there, Freddie.
any of
Good
those
point.
things you talked about. I was not silent. I'm never silent on anything Conor does. And then Conor supported Trump. I just made a joke about it, and you got all offended. I was like, oh, Conor supporting Trump.
TDS.
And he was at the World Cup with Vladimir Putin. Conor must have been the link between Trump and Putin. He's the go-between.
What a good guy. I didn't realize he was that good.
I
Freddie.
figured
You
out
got a
the
point
I
there.
figured out the Russia conspiracy. There was some sort of collusion. Conor rigged the American election. Conor's the reason why Donald Trump is president. It all makes sense now.
TDS.
What's that mean?
Trump derangement syndrome.
Is that a thing? Is that like an
Why don't you
online
bring-
thing?
you know what?
Here
Why
we
don't you
go.
bring Freddie on the show?
Oh,
So
boy.
you come up with a topic and like you argue it. And then I'll just back up Fred and whatever he says.
Fred's
I'll be
like the-
yeah, Freddie's right.
Fred's like the Alex Jones of Ringside Report. You are.
I got the documents.
Exactly. That's who you are. That's who you are on this show. It's unbelievable. All right, can we get back to this? This is ridiculous.
After jiu-jitsu today, we had like a 20-minute talk about 9/11. It was great. But let's go back to the show right now.
That's what you do at jiu-jitsu. You don't do that at taekwondo, Dave. At jiu-jitsu, you do this stuff. Taekwondo, you just show around your belt.
I'd rather
Look at
have
my
people
belt is.
from jiu-jitsu than taekwondo with me on that. So
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of haters that are going to be after us because of the
Okay.
taekwondo comment there. But respect to them, too. If they do martial arts,
Sure.
respect.
Yeah. But jiu-jitsu is probably better.
It's not just better. It's like comparing, like let's look
Apples
at,
to
let- tell-
oranges.
Let me tell you something. Find me someone in the UFC.
I don't
who
want you to
has-
tell me
who's
something.
Just a taekwondo guy up against, let's see, I don't know, a Khabib or
Yeah, Khabib isn't a jiu-jitsu guy. He's
yeah,
a
but
sambo.
he still does jujitsu.
He's a sambo
still
guy.
a grappler.
He disrespects jiu-jitsu quite.
Well, he's doing quite a bit of
To
jujitsu.
find a representative of jiu-jitsu, you couldn't have picked a worse guy. Khabib
as worse-
Khabib literally
No,
wore
no,
a T-shirt
no.
that said, "If sambo was easy, it would be called jiu-jitsu."
Listen,
That Khabib
but
literally
that's being
this is jiu-jitsu.
No, that's a hypocrite because he trains jujitsu and he trains it with some of the best. And you know what, Dave? We all like one sport over another, but in the end, it's a grappling sport. And there's you get me. I was gonna say something. I won't mention any names.
No, let's go back to the show. Okay.
Let's get a sambo guy to go see Glenn.
All right, shut up, AJ.
I want to be there. Are we back on?
And welcome back. It is Ringside Report. I am Dave Simon. Fred Garcia is here. AJ DeLesio is here. If you are listening to this show on the radio, you are missing out on a lot of stuff. We talked about
Politics.
how Fred is the Alex Jones of Ringside Report. AJ talked about his disrespect of Taekwondo.
I didn't say that. That was Freddie.
We talked about my political podcast that I have for some reason that you can download at irreparabledamageshow.com. And
Wait,
yeah,
let's correct you there,
We talked
Dave.
about a lot of different things.
No, first of all, Freddie was not dissing that show. He was actually giving his comment, which he's allowed to because he's a fair guy.
Yeah,
Generally,
It's a two-man show, and I'm your least favorite man on that show. You guys don't like my part of that show. That's okay. IrreparableDamageShow.com. Go check that out. I always plug the other things, but you can check out the show that AJ and Fred don't like. Maybe you'll like it at IrreparableDamageShow.com. It's mostly about Montreal. It's
And-
about
and Taekwondo.
It's about Montreal and Quebec. It's not
Give it a
about
try.
It's not about the United States politics. It's not about greater Canadian politics. It's not about international stuff. It's mostly about Montreal, the city, and
about the potholes?
and the province.
What are you going to talk about? Potholes?
We talked the latest episode. We talked about Mike Ward taking his case to the Supreme Court, and
The comedy guy?
And I'm sure that our stance was exactly what you guys would agree with, which is
What's your stance?
he's a comedian and he should be allowed to say pretty much whatever he wants, right? And you guys both agree with that. So if you listen to the show, you would agree and you'd have a good time. It's entertaining. It's a good time. Irreparable Damage, IrreparableDamageShow.com. Subscribe on iTunes. It's good. And we have other stuff during the commercial break that we talk about, and you can watch that over at www.ringsidereport.net. There's so much going on at ringsidereport.net. We have a Royal Rumble watch-along coming up on Sunday. We have Dave and Johnny Live, where we preview NXT Worlds Collide. We have the UFC 246 watch-along that AJ, myself, and my brother did last Saturday night watching Conor McGregor. You want to see our live reaction from the Conor fight? You can watch that right now at ringsidereport.net. Yeah, it's
We
kind
had
of fun.
We had a good time. It went by fast, actually.
It did go by very quickly.
We had a good time. I mean, Freddie was having raclette while we were having Freddie. We had nothing here, but that's okay.
We had cake.
That I brought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for the buffet, like we were poker
You had
night.
Johnny Walker Gold, my friend.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I broke out the
Yes.
nice Johnny Walker.
Yes, and then look what happened to Johnny Walker next. No more Johnny Walker.
That's an expensive bottle of whiskey,
It was
buddy.
over?
very, very good.
It's finished?
No, we still have some.
Okay, next watch along.
Yeah. So let me give you.
Can we go back to this Conor McGregor thing?
Yeah,
for
I want to give you
second?
some Conor McGregor odds.
Uh-oh.
But
Do you have something to say otherwise?
yeah, I just wanted to call you out a little bit.
Oh,
though.
me?
What the
Yeah.
heck?
So you're making the case for Gaethje or Poirier, and I'm like,
I'm just saying if we want to make it quick. Because
well, if we want to make it quick,
Nate-
Masvidal is available, and that would be a much more interesting fight.
Yeah, okay. I don't disagree.
I'm just saying that.
I don't disagree. But, Masvidal seems like he's going to fight Usman because that's what the UFC wants.
And I'm down with that also.
So let me give you some Conor McGregor odds, okay? So McGregor's next opponent, betting odds. Masvidal minus 200, Khabib plus 300, Gaethje plus 600, Kamaru plus 900, Nate plus 1,000, Floyd plus 1,200, Tony Ferguson plus 1,400. I'm giving you $50 today. Who are you betting it on?
Nate.
Me too. At plus 1,000, that's good money too.
I'll tell you who I think it's going to be.
I'd go with Nate.
I'm going to go with Poirier, and I think that is.
He's
gonna
not
be
on the
fight.
list.
He's not.
I just gave you. Pay attention, man.
So he should be on the list, and that's what it's going to be.
You suck, AJ.
Hey, man,
I'm not
you can say
asking
what
you
you
any
want.
more of these. This
Poirier
is just me
going
and
to be
Fred.
Conor's next fight.
Okay, Fred. Will Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov fight in 2020? Yes, plus 575. No, minus 1250. So the odds are they do not fight this year.
A lot of things have to fall in line for them to fight. I feel those odds are like I would still take a chance. Like basically $10 gives me $57.50 by my gambling non-expertise.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
good
okay.
to me, man.
Sure. You want
Sounds
to take
good.
you want to take it, but I would agree with those odds. Like, do you agree or disagree with the odds? I agree.
I think there's a good chance they fight.
No, I think Tony Ferguson's going to beat
yeah,
Khabib
no,
Nurmagomedov.
no.
Tony's beating Khabib. I'm going to say it
Not
every
happening.
week.
We already bet it.
I'm going to say it every single week on the show. Tony's going to beat Khabib, and then Tony will probably wind up fighting Conor. Will McGregor and Mayweather fight in 2020? Yes, plus 500. No, minus 1,000. I would say yes at plus 500. I'd say that Conor's more likely to fight Floyd Mayweather this year than he is to fight Khabib.
I disagree with you on that, Dave. I mean, it all comes down to if Khabib beats Ferguson, Conor will be fighting Khabib.
Odds right now.
Yeah.
Odds right now have Floyd Mayweather at a plus 500 to fight Conor this year, and Khabib at plus 575. So the odds agree with me, AJ. Once again, the facts.
I know, but
Vegas is on my side.
I know, but if
and they're saying that Khabib is a longer shot to fight Conor than Floyd is. Floyd is the more likely than Khabib to fight Conor. And if you look at the overall odds, they think Masvidal is the most likely. He's the favorite, but then followed by Khabib, which is kind of odd, right? Like the overall odds as McGregor's next opponent, they have Khabib at plus 300, but then they still have, and then Floyd at plus 1,200. But then when you go to will McGregor fight Khabib this year, like or will McGregor fight Floyd, like the odds are better for Floyd this year. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up, right?
but what
Yeah.
does add up? I'll tell you what adds
Right?
up.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's
like Khabib, like in the bet of who's Conor's next fight, Khabib is favored over Floyd. But in the bet of will Conor fight Khabib or Floyd in 2020, Floyd is favored over Khabib, which makes absolutely no
in some
sense.
sense, it does make sense. Why? Because Floyd is fighting no one, where Khabib has to fight Ferguson. So if Ferguson beats Khabib, it's done. Then
You
that
don't
chance-
understand math. It's
no,
okay.
No. It is. It's simple.
Okay.
What's going to happen?
Total fights, MMA and boxing combined.
There's
McGregor
no odds on there.
McGregor has
Just basically says over or under.
Yeah, well, we can take the over-under. Total fights that Conor has, not including Cerrone. So this is for the rest of the year. Over 3.5 or under 3.5? I'm taking the under.
Definitely under.
Definitely the under. There's no way he fights 4 times this year.
Exactly. I think that's
Definitely
probably
the under.
Probably a misprint or something
Yeah.
because usually you got to have also a nod on that.
Will McGregor hold a UFC title belt at the end of 2020? Yes, plus 400. No, minus 700. I would agree with those odds. I would say no.
Because he's going to get again destroyed by Khabib.
Or Tony Ferguson.
You know what, guys, man? You're not giving a lot of respect to Conor after what he's done.
I prefer
like, this
Conor's
past weekend.
chances against Tony Ferguson than against Khabib.
I can agree with Fred.
You like
on
his
that.
chances against Kamaru Usman?
Not at all.
Me neither. I think Kamaru is like a bigger Khabib. Like he's not as
But I'll tell you
he's
what.
not as technically sound as Khabib, but he's like the size and the strength advantage will make up for it, and he's got similar skills, similar skill set. You know.
You dismiss Masvidal, but I still want to see Masvidal against Usman. I think like Masvidal is a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's a scrambler. Of course, if Usman gets the takedown and just makes the fight like a grappling fight, Masvidal's going to have a long night. But if Masvidal manages to keep this fight standing up, Masvidal got good striking. Like I would give him a good shot if it stays stand up against Usman.
Look, Conor's officially ranked in the welterweight. That means something. He's ranked 14th. You never know what's going to happen. He looked good at 170.
You think
he doesn't look great at 155.
You want to see him fight Usman?
You know what? I want to see Conor fight anyone right now.
I think
And it doesn't
Masvidal's
matter.
got a shot against Usman, but I don't think Conor does. I think the size is too much of a factor there. So no, I don't like that at all. Conor McGregor, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get some news really, really soon. I don't want to wait that long to find out what Conor's next fight will be. Dana White was asked a bunch of questions by TSN last week before the fight, and it was an interview I saw over the weekend. And he was asked, odds of this guy fighting in 2020, odds of that guy fighting in 2020. And he was asked, does he think Brock Lesnar will fight in the UFC in 2020? He said, yes. This is the president of the UFC, Dana White. Will George St-Pierre fight in the UFC in 2020? Dana White says, no.
Oh, yeah?
So that is, just that alone. He said a lot of stuff, and it was interesting. It was a good interview, but the Brock Lesnar and George St-Pierre answers were particularly surprising. Like, okay, George St-Pierre, Dana doesn't think he's going to fight in 2020. It's disappointing, but it's not like something we haven't heard from Dana before. Dana said for years, George St-Pierre doesn't want to fight, and then he fights Michael Bisping, right? Like, okay, Dana. But Dana thinks Brock is going to fight in 2020?
Yeah, but there was rumors.
What?
There was negotiations and rumors this whole week about Brock coming back to the UFC.
This week?
Apparently, like
I didn't
they're
hear
just
rumors.
They're just on the brink of signing, and it comes down to one thing. I think is that in the Royal Rumble, if Brock Lesnar doesn't win, listen to this.
Here we go.
Listen
Here
to
we
this.
go. This is where it gets crazy. Here, AJ's about to break down the Royal Rumble. That came out of nowhere.
Listen, if he doesn't win the Royal Rumble, he's coming to the UFC soon. If he wins the Royal Rumble, he's not coming to the UFC. That's it. That's my 2 cents.
Wait,
AJ,
Remember, you heard it
I
first.
have a.
What
AJ.
does he need to do to win the Royal Rumble?
He's just got to win.
How do you win the Royal Rumble?
You just smash everybody and you win. What more do you want? I'm not a connoisseur of the Royal Rumble. I just know
And
business.
you obviously don't know anything about professional wrestling
Listen,
because
if he-
Brock Lesnar is in the Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
Brock Lesnar is currently the WWE champion.
Yeah.
Is that belt on the line in the Royal Rumble?
I would guess so.
It is not.
Come to the UFC, Brock.
Okay.
Come to the UFC. And you know
Do
what?
you
I think he will.
think? Okay, he can't go to the UFC as WWE champion. That's not going to happen. Okay, so pump the brakes on that, Brock. This is what always happens around WrestleMania time when Brock needs a new contract. It's the UFC tease, right? But Brock said like a year ago he was retired and he was not going to wrestle or not going to fight in the UFC anymore, and he decided. I don't really believe that Brock is going to fight, but Brock tells Dana that he wants to. And Dana gets so excited that he makes Brock an offer. And then Brock takes that offer and goes to Vince McMahon and says, "This is what I'm worth. Give me more, and I will stay with you." And Vince does, and that's how Brock gets a new contract every year around WrestleMania. This is just Dana getting bamboozled by Brock again. I can't believe Dana just plays the game. He's just
but
this
can we
desperate
go to
guy.
the original discussion of who could be most likely to come back, Brock Lesnar or GSP? And I'm going to tell you right now, GSP, I don't think Dana needs him at all, because look, whether it's Khabib, there's a lot of options for him. Whether it's Conor, there's a lot of options for him. And I don't think GSP is coming back to fight Usman. So, right now, GSP is not needed from Dana. So he doesn't need to give anything to GSP. And he doesn't want GSP to come and beat McGregor or beat Khabib and then retire. So
he may not want it, but Khabib might want it. If Khabib beats Tony Ferguson, it's not a foregone conclusion that Khabib would fight McGregor. Khabib has said on numerous occasions he doesn't want to fight Conor again. He's beat him. This is about legacy for him. He wants to go down as the greatest fighter of all time. Khabib has laid it out. He says he wants to fight Tony Ferguson, and then he wants to fight George St-Pierre. That's the fight for Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's the GSP fight. This is what Khabib has said.
There's going to be so much money from the rematch with Conor McGregor. They're going to
plenty of money.
Him.
There's plenty of money, but Khabib says he doesn't fight for money. Khabib says...
What are you talking about?
This is what Khabib has said in interviews. If you pay attention to what the man says, you might learn something.
Yeah.
Khabib says he doesn't fight for money. He fights for legacy. Khabib says Conor is a bum. He has no reason to fight him.
Ali Abdelaziz is there for legacy, or he's there for the money?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
He's there to take care about the money.
But he's also there to take care of his fighters and give his fighters what they want. And Ali Abdelaziz and Khabib and the UFC and everybody else knows that, yes, Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov would sell and would make a ton of money. But George St-Pierre in a comeback fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov would also sell and make a ton of money. Would it make as much as Conor and Khabib? Probably not. But that's not the issue. The issue is whether or not Khabib wants to give the rematch to Conor. And everything that he has said up until this point leads me to believe that he does not. Khabib keeps talking about GSP. He says, if George wants it, I want it. And George wants it. So I disagree with Dana White. I think that George is more likely to fight in the UFC in 2020 than Brock Lesnar. I think Brock Lesnar is playing the UFC against the WWE to get a better wrestling contract, which he does every single year at WrestleMania time. And George St-Pierre wants to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. George St-Pierre is in shape. George St-Pierre will be ready for November at Madison Square Garden to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov at 155 pounds and take the title and bring it back to Montreal and be a 3-division champion and go down, retire as the greatest fighter to ever live, without a doubt the only man to ever win championships in 3 different weight divisions. That is the fight to make. That is the legacy fight. If Khabib wants to be known as the greatest fighter of all time, there's only one guy he has to fight, and that guy is George St-Pierre. There's only one guy out there that's among the conversation for greatest of all time that's in Khabib's weight range, and that is George St-Pierre. If Khabib really wants to be the greatest of all time, he could gain 150 pounds and go up and fight John Jones, but that's not going to happen. So Khabib Nurmagomedov needs to fight George St-Pierre.
No, he doesn't.
If he wants the legacy, if he wants to go down as the greatest ever, you're not going to do that by beating Conor and by beating Tony Ferguson.
Why not? Let me jump in here.
Because it's not enough.
Freddie, let me jump in.
Because
I mean, who did George St-Pierre beat that's so special that beating Conor McGregor is a big deal. If he, of course, right now that's only
Nate did it too. Conor's not in the discussion as greatest fighters of all time. He's for sure the biggest. He's the biggest draw of all time.
Look, if Khabib defends his
MMA
title,
fighters of all time, you want to put him up in a discussion? I don't.
I would say
not right now, but he has the opportunity.
Exactly.
Not right now.
He's only 30 years old. Dave.
31. He could be one day, but right now we're talking about greatest ever.
And
Khabib is great. George St-Pierre, for me, is on another level.
Losing to George won't help his legacy, whereas if he just keeps on defeating whoever they put...
If he beats him, then, hey, all praise to Khabib. He's the number one guy. He's the greatest fighter of all time. If you could beat George St-Pierre, you're the greatest fighter of all time. George St-Pierre is the longest reigning champion the UFC's had. He's a 2-division champion, the greatest welterweight in the history of the game, the greatest fighter that the UFC has ever seen. Guys, why are we arguing about George St-Pierre being the greatest of all time? I know you guys agree with me. What are we talking about here?
The only thing
so
if
Khabib wants to be the man, as the great Nature Boy Ric Flair,
that's where we disagree.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And George St-Pierre has not been beat, so he's still the man.
Yeah, but
forget about Johnny Hendricks. Forget about Michael Bisping. Forget about all those guys. He lost twice, and then he avenged those losses then some. Yeah, but George, whatever. He lost, but then he beat Hughes. Then he beat Sarah.
Yeah, but
Khabib never lost. But Khabib, what? How many times did he drop out of big fights with Tony Ferguson? How many times did George St-Pierre drop out of big fights?
A couple of times because of his knees.
Well, he tripped on the last one, but...
Well, George, that was a different thing.
At least twice.
Did he drop out of a fight, or did he just
that fights were postponed because of his knees.
Khabib's dropped out of way more fight. Khabib's dropped out fight week. Khabib isn't a long-reigning champion. Khabib has defended his championship once, and everybody's trying to talk about he's the greatest of all time. You guys forget. You guys got short memories what George St-Pierre did, the long reign.
Don't put me in that picture, but
win over the top-ranked guys. Who's Khabib really fighting?
You think Khabib wins that power struggle against Dana White about his next fight? Like, I think Dana White probably tells Khabib, like, no, it's not George. George's not a possibility.
Yeah, but let's think about it. You keep saying
you might be right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much power Khabib has, and I don't know how much money Khabib has in the bank to the point where he could say, well,
Dana
screw it, I'm walking away.
But
so
Dave,
if he's got $50 million in the bank, then that's FU money. That's no, Dana, I don't want to fight Conor. I don't respect Conor. I already beat Conor. Beating Conor proves nothing for me. I want to fight George St-Pierre. And if Dana White doesn't want to do that, then Khabib can walk away. Yeah, but he can say, you know what, dude? I got $50 million in the bank. I just beat Tony Ferguson. I'm undefeated. I'm the world champion. What are you going to do about it?
But Dave, you know what? The biggest problem here is you keep saying 155, right? That's the fight with Khabib.
Yeah.
The problem is that George, it's almost impossible for him to get down to 155.
According to George himself.
Well, according to George, who has like IBS or Crohn's or whatnot, I mean, he's putting his health and all the rest of that, on
Dr.
the line.
AJ,
Listen,
once
man,
again, given his completely unfounded medical opinion.
No. This was straight
nonsense from
straight
AJ.
From George. And you know what? How's he going to fight at 155? There is no way. If he's going to fight at some catch weight, I can understand. But there's no way that Conor's going to be able to take Khabib's belt because he can't make it down to 155. There is no way.
You don't think George can make it to 155?
No, that's not happening.
What if he can?
He's not going to win.
What if he can?
He's not going to be able to win. He's not going to be able to handle Khabib's.
You don't think he could win at 155?
I love George.
I think George could go down to 155 in November at Madison Square Garden and take that title away from Khabib. You guys are not believing in the Canadian Superman like I thought you would.
George is our greatest hero, but not
George,
at 155.
I know you're watching and I know you're listening. Sometimes you miss the YouTube broadcast. You listen to us on the radio. George, I know you're a big fan of the show. Just know that I'm still with you, George.
Hey, man.
Listen, these other guys.
Oh, no.
These other guys, they may not believe in you, but
I
George.
believe in George.
Well,
I don't believe in Dana.
Johnny hung out
You
with
believe
George.
in George. You're saying that
But not at
Khabib's going to beat him.
But I'm not at 155.
George, I believe you could.
165.
George, I believe you could beat Khabib at 170. I believe
170,
you could.
yes.
I believe you could beat Khabib at 155. I believe you could beat Khabib at 125. You could beat him at any weight, at 185, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, George. You are the man. You are a hero, and you will beat Khabib. And they should give you that fight. You deserve that fight. You've earned that fight. They owe it to you, George, for everything that you've done for the sport, everything you've done for the UFC, the millions of dollars that you've made. Dana White, they owe it to you, George. They owe you the Khabib fight. You deserve it, and you should get it, George. And I believe that you will win because I always believe in you.
Who's made more money to the UFC?
And I'm in your corner.
Conor.
I'm in your corner 110%, and I will definitely appreciate those tickets for the next fight, George. We love you, brother, and I'm with you 100% always. Always in your
my
corner,
God.
George.
What is this?
Who's made more
GSP. Hey, I'm learning from you. It's
a
Dave,
Hallmark moment,
It's Dave
man.
hype mode, just like you do.
I was shocked for a second. Listen, man, we love George. There's no doubt about it.
I love George.
We
There's
love
seriously
George.
no doubt about it.
There you go, George, right on your forehead. But listen to this. It's going to be hard at 155, Dave. Let's be honest, man. The man walks around at like almost 190.
You're making too much of a big deal about
I
the
think
weight
it's-
right now.
I
It's
think it's
more
gonna be too
about
much.
Dana not giving him the fight. And look, if it happens, great, but
Give him the fight, Dana. Don't be scared. Why are you so afraid of George St-Pierre taking all your championships away? Hey, man, if your champion can't beat George St-Pierre, then he's a paper champion.
Ooh.
If he can't beat GSP, like if you're scared that GSP is going to come in and take the title away from your champion, then your champion means nothing. Your champion isn't number one. He's a total jabroni because you're scared and you're going to protect him. If you're a protected champion, look, Khabib, I'm sorry, Dana White, your promoter, he's trying to protect you. He's scared because he thinks George St. Pierre is going to beat you and take that title and bring it back home to Canada where it belongs. You know, I'm sorry, Khabib, but Dana doesn't really believe that you could win. So you got to take it up with Uncle Dana because he's trying to protect you because Dana White thinks Khabib is a paper champion. He doesn't really believe Khabib could beat George St. Pierre. He knows that his 170 champion, his 185 champion, and his 155 champion would all fall to GSP. That's why he doesn't want GSP in the UFC because he knows that he's got a bunch of fake champions walking around. And if GSP walked in, well, he'd be champion in all three weight divisions without skipping a beat. So, hey, bunch of paper champions walking around. Everybody's a tough guy till a real tough guy walks into the room.
Man, you don't like Usman, eh? You didn't like his hat? You didn't like his name?
I just like GSP.
well, I think GSP could maybe take Usman. Yeah, I would
For
pick
sure.
GSP, but there's no way I would pick him against Israel at 185. I'm
How
sorry.
about Yoel Romero? Israel Adesanya is going to be fighting Yoel Romero, UFC 248, March 7th. It is official for the main event. Co-main event of that going to be Joanna Jędrzejczyk taking on Weili Zhang
Ooh, that
for
would be
the
good.
strawweight championship of the world. That's a pretty sweet double main event coming up on March 7th. So that's what's next for Israel. Yeah, I'd probably take. I might have to take Israel Adesanya over George. Wait, no. Sorry,
Whoa,
George.
what did you just
Sorry,
say, Dave?
Sorry, George.
Make sure
didn't-
everybody got that.
Sorry,
Tape
George.
it.
I didn't mean that. I
I
didn't mean
heard
that
it.
at all.
Brody, you heard it?
You would kick Israel Adesanya's head off. You would karate chop him to death. All right. GSP number one. GSP
You just
135.
said the truth there, Dave. That's okay. You can admit it.
No. I thought my
Hey?
I thought my mic was off. I didn't know. Whoops. Okay. How about coming up here on Saturday night, boys? We got some fights.
Cyborg.
Cigano.
Cigano.
I want to talk about the UFC first. We'll talk about Bellator here in a minute. They're also doing a show. I'm going to be watching. What are you guys going to be watching? Fred, I'm going to put it to you. Are you going to be watching UFC Raleigh, North Carolina, Junior Dos Santos versus Curtis Blaydes? Are you going to be watching Bellator, Cris Cyborg versus what's her name again?
No clue.
Spencer? What's her name? Come on, AJ. You got all the facts.
Wait.
Well, okay. Or are you going to be watching NXT Worlds Collide?
Oh, I forgot about the NXT. You
Yeah,
see,
there's an NXT show. There's Julia Budd. Sorry, I forgot her name there. Julia Budd is taking on Cris Cyborg. Budd is the women's featherweight champion. That one going down in Inglewood, California. So
She's
there's
5-0. Wow,
there's a
okay.
Bellator show, Cyborg's debut for the title. There's a UFC show, and there's an NXT show,
well, I'm gonna have multiple screen, and
as we all do.
look,
It's 2020, multiple screens. If you don't have multiple screens, where you at?
good chance that NXT gets the main screen. And after that, I'm going to be switching from my tablet and my cell phone. You know, who knows? Maybe my tablet gets the UFC and my cell phone, which would be number 3 on the pecking order, would get at Bellator.
Yeah, I'd say Bellator's number 3 on the pecking order until we get to the
Really?
main event. Well, you know, I'm looking at this Bellator card. Aaron Pico's on the prelims. That's all right. We've got Sergio Pettis making his Bellator debut. Former UFC fighter Anthony Pettis' brother. He's on this. But other than that, you know, Sergio Pettis is fighting a guy named Alfred Kashakian. And, you know, a good indicator is, do these people have Wikipedia pages? And most of the main card, Fred, no Wikipedia pages, which means They're basically unknown, so it's a lot of unknowns on this card. Julia Budd and Cris Cyborg. Budd is Canadian. She is undefeated in Bellator, overall 13-2 as a pro, and this will be her attempt at a fourth defense of the Bellator Women's Featherweight Championship. She takes on Cris Cyborg. Guys, what do we think?
Look, I'm
here?
interested to see how Cyborg responds, to her new contract, new place. Let's see if Cyborg could win the title. I expect her to win.
Yeah.
But I would be scared that it becomes quickly uninteresting for Cyborg, where there's not many other options after that. So right now it's oh yeah, she's fighting the champion, but let's be honest, I think Cyborg, I don't have the odds, but I would expect Cyborg a big favorite.
She is the big favorite. Cyborg right now minus 445. Bud plus 355, the underdog. I think, Cyborg, she left the UFC and she's doing what she was doing back when she was fighting in Invicta or Strikeforce before that. It's just the Cyborg show, and it's just Cyborg versus whoever's next. And this is kind of the start of that. She was in the UFC for a while. She lost to Amanda Nunes, which was really surprising when she got knocked out in 51 seconds. And we haven't seen too much of her since. She beat Felicia Spencer in her next fight in the UFC, and then didn't sign a contract with them and went to Bellator. I'm disappointed. I thought Cyborg and Amanda Nunes would have been a big fight rematch. I'm sad we never got to see that, and we probably never will get to see that.
Well, you never
and
know.
now Cyborg,
Again, she was never a favorite of Dana's, so I don't want to go back to the GSP discussion, but right now GSP is not a favorite of Dana. So
yeah, Cyborg didn't want to play ball or whatever with the UFC. And
are we saying Dana's a bully?
Yeah, well, Dana,
Well, you can't mess with him, obviously, because Cyborg, was such a big name. But
mess with him, also known as stand up for yourself.
Or displays the attitude of a bully, because I don't want to be in any trouble. Dana's not a bully. I have no proof of that.
Whatever. I got whatever. Cyborg, I wish she would have stayed in the UFC. She's in Bellator now. I think she's going to win this fight. Odds are she wins this fight and then becomes a champion here. She's been champion in the UFC. She's been champion in Strikeforce, champion in Invicta, and now champion in Bellator. Man, she's really racking up these belts in all sorts of different promotions. One of the most decorated champions in the history of the sport. One of the greatest female fighters in the history of the sport. When Amanda Nunes beat her, though, it ended the talk of Cyborg being the greatest. Nunes is now looked at as the number one. Cyborg was looked at as the best ever for a while there, but,
but where do you go from here? And that's the thing, I keep saying it all the time. You're going from the UFC, where your marketability is so huge, everybody knows you, win or lose, and here we are going to Bellator, and she's fighting Bud, and most people won't even know that Cyborg is fighting.
Yeah, that's it. People aren't even really aware that this fight is happening.
But at the same time, her marketability was never that high, and her loss to Amanda Nunes hurt her a lot. So in a way, if you're Cyborg, you gotta look at this as a good opportunity for you to. I think she's in a good place to get her career back on track.
But with who, man? You gotta look at it with who, and that's the problem. Is that if she was with the UFC, like Dave said, she probably would have had another fight with Amanda, and that payout would have been huge. And if she would have beat Amanda, then it would have been a trilogy, and God knows who else was going to come in. I just think it wasn't the greatest move for Cyborg, and unfortunately, after this fight and she wins it, no one's going to know about it.
See, I think the error was from the UFC.
But I don't really think it's about fame for Cyborg. I think she's getting paid in Bellator.
Sure.
She's getting respected. She's the main event of the card. That's really what it's all about for Cyborg. I don't think she liked her treatment in the UFC. I don't think the UFC wanted to give her a reasonable amount, and I think Bellator is paying her better, so go there, Who cares about eyeballs, man? It's all about the money, man.
But you got to look at the long-term picture, and that's the problem.
Yeah, long-term picture. Long-term, money in the bank.
She doesn't have that many contracts left.
That's it. You got to cash in.
How old is she? Exactly. You take the money when it's there.
Yeah. Let's get to the other fight card coming up on Saturday night. It'll be Junior Dos Santos, former heavyweight champion of the world, taking on Curtis Blaydes in the main event. Right now, Blaydes is the favorite, minus 250. Cigano, plus 210, the underdog. Curtis Blaydes coming off a couple victories in a row. Knocked out Shamil Abdurakhimov in his last fight back in September, and JDS coming off a knockout loss to Francis Ngannou back in June. JDS is a great fighter. You know, he's one of the best heavyweights the UFC has ever seen. He's getting older. He's only 35, though. You know, Curtis Blaydes, 28. Wow, man. Curtis Blaydes is a very young guy for the experience that he's got in the heavyweight division. He's pretty young, and you know that he's going to have a bright future. It's a tough fight here. Anytime you go up against Junior Dos Santos, it's not an easy fight by any means.
Ever since he
I don't know, man.
Ever since he lost the title, it feels like he can't get on a good complete streak. Like, he had a 3-fight winning streak, which was nice for him, but I don't know. Like the dominating Junior Dos Santos, it feels like it's a little, in the past.
Yeah, like it's gone. Like the hype is gone.
He's not that
still.
Scary knockout artist he once was, right?
Exactly. I'm gonna pick him still tomorrow. I'm a fan of Junior Dos Santos. Curtis Blaydes is a nice fighter. Junior Dos Santos is a former champ. He's like a legend still.
You look at the guys that have beat Junior Dos Santos, though. He's 21-6. The losses in the UFC: 2 to Cain Velasquez, 1 to Alistair Overeem, 1 to Stipe Miocic, and then 1 to Ngannou. Like, he's not losing to anybody terrible here. He's losing to world champions.
It's also, I think, like, you see 2014, 15, and 16, only 1 fight per year. So, like, it feels like his career just, like, stalled at some point.
That's it. He's not that active. He's never been a super active fighter. This is a very big one here. Blaydes has beat Alexei Oleinik, Mark Hunt, Alistair Overeem. He's got some good wins on his record. I think he's going to pull this one out, but I'm not sure. I can see Dos Santos getting a knockout here or edging it out in a close decision.
But he's a bigger man.
I'm really on the fence on how this fight's going to go. I would pick Blaydes. Back against the wall, I have to make a pick. I'd go with Curtis Blaydes. The odds makers like him too, but I don't know, man. I could see Dos Santos pulling this one off too. This one's hard to pick. What do you guys think?
I said I'm going with Dos Santos. It might be like I'm one of those guys that picks a lot with his heart.
Yeah, I love JDS. Like, I'm a big Dos Santos fan. I like him a lot. AJ?
You know what? I'm going to go with the bigger man, the longer reach. I'm going to go with Curtis Blaydes. If you can knock out Alistair Overeem, he's going to knock out Junior Dos Santos.
All right. We both like Curtis Blaydes here in the main event. How about the co-main event? Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Michael Chiesa. This is a nice fight at 170 pounds. Chiesa plus 220 the underdog. Dos Anjos minus 260 the favorite. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it goes. I like RDA in this one. Yeah. We all in agreement here?
Yeah.
Rafael Dos Anjos. Any other fights on this card you're interested in? Arnold Allen's fighting Nick Lentz on the prelims. That could be good. Sarah McMahon's fighting on this one, taking on Lena Landsberg. Man, when's the last time Sarah McMahon fought? I feel like she hasn't been in there for a while. February 2018. Wow, it's been a couple years. 2 years.
Oh, 2 years, yeah.
2018. We're in 2020 now, Fred.
Bad math.
Welcome back, Fred.
Wow. Yeah, Sarah McMahon, I mean, she fought Ronda for the title, right? Yeah, back in 2014. Sarah McMahon, wasn't she a silver medalist in the 2004 Olympic Games in wrestling. So she's a good fighter. I always like seeing Sarah McMahon. She's on the 3rd fight on this prelim card against Lena Landsberg. So that's coming up this Saturday in Raleigh, North Carolina. Any fights?
Angela Hill will be a good fight. Other than that, it's all right. These are the cards that surprise us, where we look at them and say, like, we don't know much about these fighters.
I think the main event is going to be good. The co-main and main event are really solid, and, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a good main event. Junior Dos Santos and Curtis Blaydes, that's a great fight. I'm into that fight. I'm 100% down. Count me in. I'll be watching that on Saturday night. And we are 2 weeks away from John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. It'll be on February 8th. In the home of the cheating Astros, Houston, Texas. So that's taking place February 8th. UFC 247.
Isn't the Royal Rumble in Houston?
Yes. the Royal
Like,
Rumble.
they got to make something out of
The
that.
Royal Rumble is actually in the home of the Houston Astros in the baseball stadium, the home of the cheating, low-down, no-good, dirty Houston Astros.
But I mean, if everybody's cheating and you're just mad at somebody because he's cheating better, what are
True,
you
good
mad
point.
at?
No, not everybody's cheating. If everybody was cheating, then everybody would be getting sanctioned, everybody would be getting suspensions, and everybody getting their draft picks taken away like
Some
the
people
Houston
just cheat
Astros.
better.
Houston
Except Pete
Astros.
Rose.
Yeah, if they were so good at cheating, they wouldn't get caught. Okay, good cheaters don't get caught. Houston Astros are terrible cheaters, and they stole the World Series, and the Yankees should have had that World Series, and Altuve is the worst. All right, you suck, Altuve. Come fight me MMA style. See what
Listen, man,
happens.
they won the World Series in the end.
Yeah, well,
They did something good.
they stole a World Series in the end because they cheated. Anyways, John Jones, he never cheated. He's going to be in Houston in a couple weeks fighting. All right, and that's it. We're out of time.
Hashtag Pico
Let me
Brad.
just,
Yes, just before we go though, Fred, I'm gonna give you the
floor.
microphone.
yeah, well, unfortunately, this week we lost somebody at our jiu-jitsu gym. He was a brown belt, actually, but Alan Trait Mati, very sad story, 31-year-old, loved the jiu-jitsu, loved MMA, loved Conor McGregor, especially from Irish descent. And he passed away this week. The details, I don't know exactly, but he had 2 little sons. There's probably going to be a GoFundMe or something for him, so I'm going to probably re-mention his name in the weeks to come. But my heart out goes out to his family, and I know a lot of people on the jiu-jitsu community in Montreal were touched because they knew him. Like I say, a brown belt, a killer, 140 pounds, but a killer, and
Nice kid,
He'll be missed. A lot of my jiu-jitsu comes from him, and it just hurts.
I had a chance to grapple with him too, and he was a super nice kid, very nice kid, and from the BJJ community, we're tight. That's one thing. It doesn't matter what team you come from, what part of the world you're from. BJJ is so strong, and every club across, I just see like something about this kid, and it's too bad, but life goes on.
Very sad. Very sad.
Respect to this kid.
Very sad. And we're definitely feeling it, And Fred, I know he was a training partner of yours, and we'll keep you updated if there's a GoFundMe and stuff. We'll try and get
Help
the info
out
out
his
there.
kids, 3 and 5-year-old. It's like a sad story, and there's nothing else to say except that.
All right. Well, he'll be missed for sure. Alan, he'll be missed. Fred, you can be followed on Twitter for more information at FreddyMMA. You could follow me at Dave Simon MMA on Twitter and Instagram, and you could follow AJ on all the things at Dan E. Bruck. RingsideReport.net is the place you want to go for everything that we do. Ringside Report MMA, if you're listening to this show, you can watch it over at RingsideReport.net. We've got the Royal Rumble preview coming up on Wrestling Uncensored this weekend. We've got Dave and Johnny live previewing NXT Worlds Collide. And then coming up on Sunday, exclusively online, it'll be the Royal Rumble watch-along live from Houston, Texas, the Royal Rumble. Johnny and I will be live from the Ringside Report studios watching the Rumble with you coming up on Sunday. And that just about does it. Thanks to Marco for helping us out back on the radio side. And a big thanks to you for listening and watching. For AJ and Fred, I'm Dave, and this has been Ringside
Report.
Report.